south again through Arizona to a place called New Gales, which is the crossing into Mexico. I had been told by pretty well everybody, at least all the white people in North America, that when I got there, the Mexicans would cheat, rob me, that they would be very, very corrupt. It cost me $146 to get through customs in New York. Crossing into Mexico, it cost me $11. Now you tell me who's corrupt. I thought to myself, this is really the beginning of the adventure. One crosses from Central America to South America. There's a really dynamic bridge that spans the Panama Canal, and all of a sudden you end up in a completely new continent. There are only three ways out of Panama City. One is you can go on the Pan American highway that I came in on originally. That is the lifeline, the only road link really between the world and Panama City. You can fly out, and if you're flying a bike out, you have to remove all the fluids, the petrol, the oil, the coolant, take the battery out, take those on board the plane with you, and then they flop the bike on its side and strap it to a pallet. Didn't fancy that, and it's also quite expensive. So I went for this option, which is a boat. We're in Peru, and it's absolutely wonderful. It's a real lunar landscape, and it hasn't rained here for ages. They have a real problem with the lack of rain, and it's an incredible place. Just straight roads. The Pan American Highway is brilliant. I've not been on such good roads for 12,000 miles or more. Come and have a look. Well, I'm right up in the Andes, and I don't think I should be here. This is one of the problems with travelling without maps, and I haven't been able to find a map anywhere. And behind me are some quite remarkable mountains covered in snow. And I think I should be on the coast, but a lorry driver just now did indicate to me that we should be dropping fairly soon. Found myself up in the Andes, and eventually turned the bike round and started heading back again. As I passed them for a second time, I noticed that one of them was pointing at me. I could almost recognize him, I think. He was tall, had this big hat on, and he was probably saying something to his friend like, "Oh, there's a lost white person on a big motorbike," I thought at that time. The first bullet went through the windscreen of the bike. I still, at that time, didn't really appreciate that he was pointing a gun at me and not a finger. I then had the sensation of being kicked in the back of the head rather hard. And as you can see here, the bullet just bounced straight off the back of my crush helmet. It's just scarred the fiberglass. I was extremely lucky. And thank goodness for bulletproof showy crush helmets. One of the biggest problems I'm having is money. It was worst of all in Central America when I was crossing borders on a daily basis and having to change currency.
I've just arrived in Chile, across the border a few miles ago. There's a Pan-American highway behind me, stretching the whole length of Chile to Santiago, which is some 1,200 miles. And I've got a few dollars, about 10 American dollars, a few soles from Peru. It's Saturday, all the banks are closed until Monday. No one will change the dollars. I've got no money for food. I've got a tank full of petrol, but that's about it. So either I don't eat for 2 days and sleep out, or find somebody who'll take a Visa card, or cash a traveller's check. But here they just don't cash traveller's checks. One of the most disturbing things about driving on these hazardous roads through the mountains, I've noticed it all the way through Central America and here in South America. There are no crash barriers and they just wind up and down through the mountains in a very, very disturbing fashion. About every mile or so there is a little shrine with a cross. Quite often the number plate of the car that went over is there as well. It is really quite worrying, so you have to take it very, very steady on these roads. Behind me there's about a 600-700 foot drop, and that isn't necessarily a big one.